Hi, I'm Jock Myro with Broadband Video. You know, one of the major challenges of working in the streaming media, the online video space, is staying ahead of technology changes as they come. I've done a lot of work in terms of webcasting, live webcasting, multiple point of presence, all that kind of stuff. But a lot of it had been previously using broadcast equipment, NTSC stuff, 4x3 standard analog switchers and all that. And I've decided to take on a fairly large project going to a completely digital realm. And to that end, what I'm doing is I'm creating a piece of equipment that I call VideoBox. I sort of put it together. The computer itself has been put together. I built it by hand. It's a Intel-based system, Core i7, and I've decided to use Wirecast as the platform for delivering video, and especially I'm going to be trying to do stuff that's green screen live with lots of different overlays. And I looked at the Wirecast stuff and I really liked it. So I built this box sort of with this project in mind, and I've been playing around with it a little bit with a bunch of HD webcams and that kind of stuff. But I haven't really allowed the box to go to its full potential and to do all the things that it really could do. So I have decided to take on a project of putting a large number of I/O ports in the box, and I'll sort of put these videos up as I go along with the box. I'm going to put in the I/O ports, and I'm going to set all the cameras, and I'm going to do the green screen, and then I'm going to do the the virtual set and all that stuff, and audio issues with bringing HD video in, and then live location audio and all that. So anyway, join me if you will. This is the first part in a series that I'll be putting up on my blog and putting up on YouTube and sort of circulating around, where I build the virtual set capable multi-HDMI camera video box. So this is our live webcasting system before we sort of tear into it. I thought I'd sort of make a little record of what we're going to do here. This is the box that we call VideoBox, and you can see it's a high-powered rack mount PC, and then there's a 12-channel mini mixer, and we back up everything to this external drive right here. We've got some speakers for playback audio. That's a lighting controller, a little mini keyboard. And what we've been using is these little, we've got a poster sitting there that we've been using for focus, is these little HD webcams. And they're sort of good, but they can be problematic. So what we're going to try to do is to take VideoBox here and put a whole bunch of new I/O devices on it, HDMI camera in and outs, a lot more USB, some FireWire stuff. And we're going to put that in the back. As you can see, there's plenty of room for new cards. So that's where we're going today, is new cards on the back of VideoBox. And figured I'd videotape this and let you watch our progress. So we've gone ahead and unhooked our PC to TV converter that we had. We've been running this as a partially 4x3 NTSC system as a secondary feed to another studio. So we had this studio right here where we were doing musical events, and we were using the Wirecast box here as a sort of a band musical format, and then that plugged into a much larger studio that's down the way here that was all in broadcast 4x3. So, and you can see we had a whole thing for studio audience and everything down there. There's some tarp on it right now, but we essentially had this extremely non-high-tech group of wires running across the floor that went into the PC to TV converter. And then we use this as sort of like an upstream 4-camera mix using these little Microsoft webcams. And they work pretty good. The thing about the Microsoft webcam is they have a tendency to sort of reset themselves, and they really like to play with focus and white balance and all that. It's really hard to get everything locked down so you get a really good look with these. So that's part of the reason. I mean, these are good for like maybe a seminar or something like that, where you've got you know, a sort of set it, forget it kind of thing, but with a band moving around and lights flashing and changing, they were kind of problematic. So that's why we're going to put all the new IOs into VideoBox. Getting ready to tear the whole thing apart. Here we go. And here's the stuff we're going to be putting in. We were having problems with the USB ports, even though this board supports USB 3.0 and all sorts of high-speed stuff. Using the IOs that were in the system itself, that the cameras kept sort of bumping into each other, and there were problems with it. So anyway, I've got these PCI expansion boards. We'll see if those give us a little more space in terms of having I/O stuff going in and out. We got another one here that is a USB 2.0 and a FireWire card too, because we have some old FireWire cameras knocking around. And then, of course, 3 of the fabulous Blackmagic Intensity Pro HDMI cards, and we're going to be trying to put all 3 of these in and get them all synced up. So anyway, between all this stuff we've got here, this should give us a whole bunch more options in terms of connecting cameras and devices to our VideoBox. Okay, well, you can see we've taken the rack apart, and we have the fabulous VideoBox sitting here with the top open on top of our workbench. For those of you who are wondering what kind of board this is, I'll try to get a shot down in here. This is a Gigabyte GA Z68X UD 3HB3, and I'm running the latest version of Wirecast on it. Everything seems to work just perfectly. There seems to be some audio delay when you get into the sort of more HD video, but we'll work with that later. As you can see, it's got a whole bunch of memory in it. I think it has 16 gigs of RAM, and we've got a monster hard drive in here, 72 RPM hard drive. We've got a 500 watt power supply, which may not quite be enough, but we'll see how that goes. And I can see a problem already. I've put a video card in here, and the video card is going to mess with the clearance to one of our PCI Express slots. So we're going to have to see if we have to move that. Hopefully we won't. We ran some other ports to the back, some USB ports directly from the motherboard, though those seem to not reduce the number of conflicts. I was thinking those would sort of be their own port, but they don't really seem to be, so we may take these out. Those are these cords down here, and they're just a sort of extension ports to the back. Didn't have a lot of luck with that, so we're going to try standalone cards, and of course the happy pile of I/O stuff that's waiting to be put in right now. Okay, so the first thing that we've pulled is one of these sort of expansion. They're not really an expansion card. They just plug into slots on the motherboard and give you more USB and FireWire options. It seemed in using these that this didn't increase the number of actual USB ports that were there. And as you can see right down here, we're going to need those. This was actually in this little slot right here. So as you can see, we're going to need this space for our regular PCI expansion boards. So anyway, we pulled that out, and we're going to fire up the box, make sure it's all working at this location, and then we're going to start adding all these I/O cards. Alright, you can see that the machine's booted up properly. We are using the add-on video card in there that we've got in there. I can't remember exactly what model it is. It's I think it's an ATI. It's something cool. It's a gaming card. We've got a network hooked up to it. Seems to be finding network and everything like that. And this is, for those of you who want to know, this is a Core i7 that we're running in here. I believe it's a 2400. I can get more specific on that later. And I read the instructions for our happy USB 2.0 and FireWire combo card, and it says make sure everything's turned off and then plug it in. So anyway, I'm going to shut everything down and plug the card in, and we'll go from there. Alright, because this stuff is always more fun than human beings deserve to have. What I did was I put this card in, the first card in the first slot, This is a PPA International USB 2.0 and a 1394A combo PCI card. And I read the instructions, and it said, yeah, turn everything off, put it in, and then put in the install disk. So I did all that, put in the install disk, and it said, go to your device, click setup, and I got a message that said that this OS is, there are no drivers for this operating system. We're using Vista 64 Business on this, and so it didn't have the drivers for that. So, but it did come up with a message when I first booted up the machine that says your new hardware is in and all the drivers have been properly installed. So I wasn't so worried about the fact that it wouldn't install from this little disk. However, in shutting down the system, I got this happy message here. Let's see, we have Apple Charger Sys page fault in non-paged area if this is the first time, blah, 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 blah. So anyway, there's some kind of hardware problem, and it did a little memory dump, and I'm going to just do a quick reboot and see if this shows up again or what the heck it is. It may be a result of trying to put that, install that software from that little disk, and we'll see if it recognizes these ports in just a minute. Well, the good news is we rebooted the whole system, and can you see it there? There it is. Come on up. Your device is ready to use. Anyway, we rebooted the whole system, and it seemed to recognize the card just fine. I plugged one of these little webcams into the #1 slot on the back, and it installed the device drivers. I don't have a FireWire device to test right now, but I would assume that the drivers for the PCI card are installed, USB 3.0 and the FireWire card are installed correctly, because it seems to be working. On to the next card. But the fun's not over yet. On shutdown, we got this blue screen of death again that says Apple Charger Sys page fault in non-paged area. If this is the first time you've seen this, stop error screen, restart your computer, blah blah blah. Check to make sure any new hardware or software is properly installed. Problems continue. Disable or remove any newly installed hardware. So we're not quite done yet. Anyway, that's all I got time for today, and we'll pick up on this project shortly. Okay, well, it's the next day. You can see I'm drinking coffee over here. It's kind of in the morning, and I've got this card back in here. This is the same card that seemed to be causing the blue screen of death, the PPA International USB 2.0 FireWire card. So anyway, I yanked it out, rebooted the machine. It didn't blue screen of death. I put it back in, and it's just doing the blue screen of death on shutdown. It's looking for something called Apple Core Sys or something like that. Anyway, it's got some sort of weird thing that's going wrong with it. So what I did was I went online and I did a little searching around, and what I came up with was that this was often caused by mismatched or bad driver updates. So I had noticed earlier that my system wanted to update the AMD Catalyst Manager for the graphics card. It's an AMD Radeon graphics card. So I'm doing that. I'm doing Java updates and just sort of generally updating everything. And then we'll see when I shut this down whether or not this card that I put back in makes it blue screen of death. This is the last attempt. If it doesn't blue screen of death, then we'll move on. If it does, then we'll pull it out, restart, shut down, do a clean shutdown, and then start trying some other cards. So that's where we're at. Let you know how it goes. Okay, so we got tired of monkeying around with the PPA USB 2.0 and FireWire combo card, blue screen to death, on shutdown all the time. Anyway, moving right along, we decided to put this regular PCI non-FireWire PCI expansion card into the same slot. We have since, of course, taken out the other card, did a clean startup, a clean shutdown, and now we're doing the startup with the new inland PCI expansion card in, and we'll see what happens with that.